Hey, you're listening to the follow-up episode of Just Being Intentional with Thomas Harris. I am Stuart White. I'm the producer of the show. And this little segment is designed specifically to ask some questions that I thought you guys might be asking as you're listening to Thomas in the episode. So in this very first follow-up episode, Thomas in the intro episode was talking about his life and everything that led up to this point. So, Thomas, a couple of the things that popped into my head, there were a few moments, but the moment for me that stuck out the most was you got emotional a couple times. And one of them was when you said you completed your training in the military and the Navy and you got out of that. Why did that hit you so hard? What was it about that moment that even now reflecting on it causes you to have this visceral reaction?
Yeah, I'm even getting emotional even thinking about it now because I'm so grateful that God had provided an out for me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, he that was the means of giving me another chance to start over. So I seriously embraced that opportunity to have a clean slate, and I just think of everything that had transpired from making that decision to join the military. For me, it was an act of obedience to him putting that in motion, and I just followed without really even knowing what I was doing. You know, I was always aware that there was a God. I often felt his presence even before I knew who he was. I felt like there was someone much bigger than myself that was watching over me. And every time I felt that presence get close to me, I would run away. And then God in his infinite wisdom and providence would kindly stick his foot out and he tripped me up. And my circumstances were the result of continuing to run when I needed to stop. So when I think about how he gave me the opportunity, one, to take upon the oath and serve this country, to defend and wherever the cost was, and I saw that training all the way through, and I got to wear the uniform that not too many people in the world get to wear, and I did it not even thinking about what could happen, what the possibilities were. The worst could happen. But I signed myself for that, and I just look back and I get emotional because I think of everything that has happened from that point, meeting my wife and starting this journey, which is something I could never foresee prior to that. Because when you go from feeling like no one cares, you know, if I didn't wake up tomorrow, would it even matter to people? You know, because you can know that people love you, but still not know people love you. You know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
But he gave me purpose, and that's where it all started. So that's why it hits hard when I think about that. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So if I'm hearing you correctly, that was one of the pivotal moments that changed the trajectory of your entire life. You talk about your faith. Which would you say had more weight? Like, a lot of people talk about their faith, but it seems to be something for you that might be even greater of a trajectory change. Like, you thought, I'm going in the military, this will give me purpose. And then that decision led to meeting your wife or girlfriend at the time. And then now she's taking you to church and you're hearing this presentation and all that. Like, how did that change your life?
Yeah. I said in the episode that there was, for all of us, there's one defining moment that we have in our lives that changes the entire course of the rest of your life. And for me, the decision and the follow through of joining the military was that moment. You know, like you said, that was the pivotal moment. That was the moment that changed everything. Because if you look back, we have the beauty of hindsight where we can look back and see all these pinpoints of events that have happened, the people that you meet and the decisions you make along that journey. You know, this is where it started. You know, Frodo started with putting the ring in his pocket and went on an incredible journey from there. Like, if he never got that ring, would he have left the Shire? Probably not.
Would have made for really boring books and movies too. He's just hanging out in the shower.
Correct. So I love to look at movies. I'm a movie guy. I love to look at movies and see like how this pertains to real life. Defining moments based on one decision that changes everything. That's what it was for me. So I'm forever grateful for the opportunity to join the military, and now I'm being benefited greatly because of my time of active duty.
Yeah. That's really amazing. I know something else, like I mentioned the emotional moments. You spoke about your father and very sensitive issue there too, his death by suicide, and it seemed to impact you in the trajectory. Again, I'm using that word trajectory a lot, in how you wanted to be and what not to do. And then also looking at it and going, just not being something is not the same as being something. And so you spoke about a few things, but could you go into a little more detail on that? How did that affect you in being a husband, being a father, being a man?
Yeah. All of us, every single one of us sees something in our parents that we don't like, that we want to do differently. Like I have a very opinionated oldest daughter who sees things and she'll tell it like it is. I want to do better. I want to be better than what my environment taught me or didn't teach me. I mean, it shouldn't take a kid to look around in his environment and say, it's got to be better than this. And that's what I saw. I saw the things that I didn't want to be, the possibilities that I did not want to play out. And I think I was intentional about that without even knowing that. And I wasn't a believer at the time as a kid, but I was very in tune with my conscience, and God was there before I even acknowledged he was there, and he was showing me things that I should do differently. So I consider myself a cycle breaker. The norm was not right for me. So with my parents, they were very young. My mom was 16. My dad was like 19. You're not going to know any better when you're that age, having a kid or having two kids. But I just knew that I wanted to be, for my family, something better. And I give credit also to the guys that I surrounded myself around that were doing life better than I was. And the hope was to have some of that rub off on me and I'd be better for it.
So it sounds like you're saying you aspired to be like the people that you were surrounded with. And when you were surrounded with friends that were going nowhere or the opposite of nowhere, like downward, it had an effect on you. But then when you made that intentional choice to be around people who had ambition, had plans, and healthy ambition too, that had an effect on you.
Yeah. And I want my kids to be even better than the examples they've been given. And I hope that their kids are better. I want that to continue. And it's part of living a legacy is like your kids have a life better than you ever had, and you want their kids to have a better life than they had. So it's just kind of, in a sense, it's paying it forward. But, you fall down along the way, and then you keep getting back up, and you keep trying harder, and you just rely on God to just be your guide in that process and help you make better decisions today than you did yesterday.
That's awesome. Well, so let's wrap it up with one final question. And this is something I think people might be thinking about, is if somebody is thinking, I need to change my trajectory, and maybe like you did, maybe it's the military, what advice would you give them that they could act on or not act on that would possibly help them determine what to do?
The beauty of working in homeless ministry is I get to pretty much say whatever I want in those conversations. I get to challenge guys. John MacArthur said it best: hard words produce soft hearts, but soft words produce hard hearts. So speaking the truth, giving people the truth, but from a place of love, is the difference maker. If I'm just telling you, you should do this, and there's no love behind it, there's no care, like I am rooting for your success, then it's like a clanging cymbal. But if you know that I'm telling you this because I love you and I care about what happens to you, I'm going to be one of your biggest cheerleaders. I'm going to take some success in your success because I'm investing in you. So we have to be truthful on one another. And that means that some people are going to be in a place where they're they're ready to receive it, and some are not going to be ready, and they're just going to be like, they're going to feel like they're attacked and you're judging them. But that's not the intention. The intention is to challenge you, because I believe you can do better. And I take my story, for instance, like, I had to believe I can do better. Otherwise, I would just be another statistic, and I wasn't going to let that happen.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. I would imagine, if I was inspired, first of all, in hearing what you had to say, and I hope that people listening, and I know people listening, were inspired as well. So I encourage anyone, like, if you have any questions, anything like that, check out the show notes. We'll have an email that you can reach out and contact us. If for some reason you're listening to this episode first, go back one episode and listen to episode 1 of Just Being Intentional with Thomas Harris, and you will be all caught up, and then you can have a little more context to this one. So we really appreciate you taking the time and listening. Tune in to episode 2 next.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.